Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint an autumn forest with some yellow trees and kind of orangey leaf litter on the ground. I don't know why I'm having such a hard time describing this picture. It's pretty simple. Got my husband Mark with me.
Hey, at least you got me right.
Yeah. He'll be manning chat and helping me out with the camera work while we're doing our live show tonight. So if you've got questions, you can ask those and I'll try to answer them while I paint. I'll be showing you step by step how to do it. And I think I'm going to try to keep this easy beginner level project. So, all right, let's get started. I'm laughing at myself.
Should we go out and come back in?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Well, I tried to print this picture out. So for the last half hour, we've been fighting with our printer, and we got a new Wi-Fi system. And anyhow, long story, couldn't get it printed. We've got a 9 by 12 inch Belgian linen canvas board here that I'll be using to paint on tonight. And thank you to Fredrix, our canvas sponsor, who's provided the canvas for this painting. Got a few large brushes. I've got the Princeton 6100 series, number 8, number 10, and number 6 bright flats. Actually, they're brights, not flats. Flats are a little bit longer. And then I've got the VelvetTouch Princeton brushes, 1/4 inch, 3/8 inch, and number 4 round for some of the branches. Possibly might need a smaller one as well. Let me grab a liner as well. And then I've also got a 3/8 inch Willow's blender. It's got the rounded tip, kind of stiff bristled brush. You might also use like a 3/8 inch or a 5/8 inch Deerfoot Stippler, or the fan brush, 10-aught fan brush, bristle fan. These are the Select line and the blue handles. They're all Princeton brushes. They are a brush sponsor, so thank you to them. And I've also got the number 1 liner of their Select line. All of the brushes that I'm using tonight are down in the description in my brush guys list. So if you want to check those out, you can buy them there. All right. I am going to start out. Well, let's go over our palette really quick. Unbleached Titanium, Titanium White, Cadmium Red Medium, Cadmium Red Light, Indian Yellow Hue, Cadmium Yellow Light, Cadmium Yellow Medium, Yellow Oxide, Phthalo Green Yellow Shade, Phthalo Blue Green Shade, Burnt Sienna, Burnt Umber, and Carbon Black. If you don't have these exact colors, just use what you've got that's close to it. I've got a lot of yellows out here, but you can probably get away with just one and mixing the rest. I've just got them out because it kind of speeds things along to have them pre-mixed. So, all right, so let's go over our kind of basic composition. Really, this picture is fairly straightforward. So our horizon line is going to be kind of about right on the 3rd mark. There's just going to be kind of a... It's fairly faint back here, so we're going to really fade it out quite a bit. We will kind of want to know where that is so we can know where to start our trees. And our trees are going to kind of come in around it and sort of create this sort of bower effect. I'm not even going to draw those in because we're going to be covering everything right now with our background coats. So I'm going to use number 10 bright, wet it down a little bit, grab some white and just scooping up from the palette there and plopping it down on a clean spot. And then grabbing some of the phthalo blue and some phthalo green, making a teal color. And then I'm going to use burnt sienna to make it kind of more neutral. That'll be our basic misty forest background color, and I'm going to mix most of this with white. I'm just going to kind of leave a little bit of the dark already there because we're probably going to use some of that on the trees. So this will be kind of our background color, and then we're going to grab a lot more white, and we're going to just start up here at the top, try to put some white in. Let me wipe that off of my brush because I've got a lot of... Clean it off. I want a little bit more pure white up there. So I'm going to grab some more white and try to get some more pure white up there. Yeah, there we go. Just gonna work that in up there, and then I want it to get darker around the sides.
We got a question already.
Yep.
The person wants to know what makes fine art fine art. Now, my answer is that the person who's painting it must be fine. So that's why you have fine art.
Okay.
You might have a different definition. So what is your definition?
Well, I think generally it's just considered to be a more high quality art, well, I don't know. I mean, I'm of the opinion that all art is valid art. You know, all art is important art, and you know, from a 2-year-old to an adult, I really like outsider art that's untrained art, but technically untrained art is not fine art. I think in the art, world general definition, even though you can find it in galleries and things. So I think it's very subjective. I don't know.
I think that's good.
It's a bad definition, but
I think that's good.
Like kind of doing the dark around the sides here, and just kind of working in, keeping the lighter part sort of in the middle here, and I'm really just kind of going side to side so that I can kind of blend it in to what I've got going on here. This top part there's a lot of light coming down from the upper trees, but as you get down farther under the canopy, there's less light hitting these this area, so it's getting darker as we go down. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a really good definition. Like
That's
I said,
okay. My definition is much better than yours. So
okay, probably.
I'm just saying.
I think you're right.
Of course I'm right.
Well, and your definition is very subjective too, just like all definitions of art. All right, here we go. So kind of doing this side by side. This sort of side by side motion too kind of gives it that sort of misty look. Doesn't have to be fully blended. If any of this is not blended, it'll look, we'll kind of see a little bit through the trees. It might look like clouds or mist or whatever. Your brain will kind of fill in the details on its own. But if we kind of do this side-by-side motion, it kind of already gets that feel of being sort of mysterious, foggy. All right, so then down here, we're going to go more of the reddish. So I'm going to start grabbing some burnt umber and just kind of lightly go back and forth over that horizon line area. And trying to kind of catch that wet paint. If it's already dry, don't worry about it. You can just let it dry completely. Doesn't have to be fully dry for this. I'm going to keep adding a little bit more burnt sienna. Go down below even more. A little bit of water, a little bit more white. And I still have that green in my brush, so it's kind of tinting this a little bit.
Okay, got a question asking, are you using any type of a flow medium or is it just water?
It's just water right now, but you could use flow medium if it, you just kind of have to work quickly with this. So if you're not, if you're kind of more of a slow painter, you could use flow medium or something like that. That'll give you a little bit more working time. For this bottom coat, I would say don't stress too much about it. Don't worry too much if it's not exactly perfect. I think that we slow ourselves down a lot of times with these early undercoats when we don't have to. It really doesn't matter if it's perfect, 'cause we're going to be adding lots of stuff on top. So just kind of slap it on there. Grabbing some red, adding that to my Cadmium Red Light and burnt sienna. And I'm going to use that down here at the bottom. And I'm going to grab some burnt umber too. Go even darker. We're going to definitely need to give this some shadows. It's not nearly dark enough yet. I'm going to bring the dark up the sides here a little bit.
So you can say hi to everybody.
Yeah, hi guys.
Thank you for joining us. It's been slightly over 48 hours since the
Last video.
4-hour marathon on Sunday.
Yeah.
For the Patreon folks.
That was a long video.
You were determined not to go a third month on that.
No, I wasn't going to go another month, so I still could have painted another hour on it though, because I've already found things that I would change, but too late now.
Anyways, we'd like to welcome you to the channel if you're new. Great to have you with us tonight. Sit back and enjoy, and you can jump into chat if you hit the subscribe button. And then also check out Angela's channel after this show. And there's, what, over 300 videos out there from beginner to advanced. And I think there's something out there for everybody. So give it a thumbs up if you're enjoying the show. And good, sit back and you can jump in chat and ask any questions. And we'll either try to answer them for you in chat, or we'll try to get it on air. Bonus points if it's about chocolate.
I pretty much kind of limited the on-air questions just because they kind of tend to slow down I can't seem to paint and talk. So if Mark knows the answer, he usually answers it for me. So
yeah, and the people in chat do too.
Going.
We try to keep it on point of the video itself.
Right, right. All right, I'm going to go ahead and try to do this without having Mark have to stop and dry it for me. You might find that you want to dry yours. I'm going to go ahead and use some Unbleached Titanium. Got some Cadmium Yellow Light. And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of tap it in. Back here it is sticking, so it's my fear would be that because this background is drying, that we might lift. It's actually lifting a little bit right there. I'm probably going to have you. Yeah, let's go ahead.
I can blow on it if you want.
Yeah, let's go ahead and have you dry that for me. And
okay. Done.
Thank you. All right, let me grab my stick man. We'll give him a yellow tree. Maybe we really don't have any room left for any trees in here, but we'll see if we can work one in. I don't know. Maybe up here. Stickman is Mark's creation. He's our show mascot, I guess you'd call him. And we try to pull him out whenever Mark blow dries so that I have something to do. So no special reason. He's kind of Mark's contribution to the art on the channel. So we're gonna dab in some dark. Give him a tree over here that's got some yellow. There's our moon from last week's show, so if you missed that, last Tuesday night we did our moonlight tree. It turned out really cool. I like it. So we added our moon last week. And so we'll use, it doesn't look much like a tree, but that's about as good as we can do to fit in our empty space. Okay, I really need you to make a new one of those.
Okay. All right. Man, I missed the best part of the show every time.
I know.
I'll have to go back and watch them later.
Okay. Okay, I think that actually got most of what I wanted down there. I just wanted a very light coat of yellow trees sort of up here in the background. Way out in the misty forest. Clean that out. And I wet down my, this was a sea sponge. I didn't mention that before, sorry, before I used it. Just a regular little sea sponge. I have it in my Amazon store listed, but it's just a regular, I think they're a watercolor, you find them under watercolor supplies often. So I'm going to switch to a little bit smaller brush now. And we'll start putting in some of our trees. So I'm going to grab that teal color, that's our background color. And I'm going to add a little bit of brown to it, burnt umber. Just kind of make it a little bit more
I missed the brush.
neutral. Number 6 bright. And I'm just going to kind of, let me see, make sure that this is light enough because I don't want it really dark. We got lots of white to it. I want it just like one shade darker than our background here. Yeah, that might be a little bit too dark still. There we go. I'm just going to use that edge of my brush to create some trees way back here in this distance. And if you get them where they're kind of thick in the middle, then just kind of come down and thicken it all the way down to the bottom where it touches. You want the bottom of the tree to be the thickest part, obviously. Otherwise it looks a little bit funky. Okay. Adding more branches to some of these. I'm going to just kind of come in where the tree trunk is and then sort of veer off. And if you just kind of skip it along its edge, as long as you've pressed it nice and flat here, it'll kind of just do the work for you. It's pretty easy.
I just realized
So this is going to be covered up. What?
that it's 3 months till Christmas today.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Have you got
I'm
me?
not ready.
You haven't got me anything yet?
No.
I haven't got you anything yet either.
I'm determined to put out my snowmen this year. I said I would because I didn't put them out last year. And now I'm dreading it. It's like so much work.
So I got to get up in the attic this weekend.
Yeah, I think I need to start now. Got about 200 snowmen or something. I don't know. I counted them one time a few years back. I can't remember how many I have, but a lot. Okay. So over here in this dark area, I might grab a little bit of the darker so those are visible. Okay. Then I'm going grab a little bit and go a little bit darker. See if I want to do any. Let's go ahead and do some leaves over the top of this. Let's grab some of that unbleached titanium, some yellow oxide. And do a few little leaves sort of over the top of our far branches. Keep it fairly dark, or fairly light, I mean. I don't want it to overwhelm anything. And I'm going to go ahead and grab a little bit of that background branch color too, and just kind of tap in a little bit of that. That will kind of help obscure the branches too and give that shadow color that we're seeing. See that? So that's just this branch color that we used. We also used a little bit of that. And I think I'm going to leave this area fairly clean. I might add one more branch that's a little closer to the middle. Keep these fairly small though, these ones that are, there we go. Okay. Okay, I like that.
Very cool effect.
Yeah.
It is amazing how just a few simple brushes and dabs,
Yeah.
make you see something.
Right.
Like
right.
I said before, your eye will fill in the blank spots and say, oh, I recognize that.
Yeah. Yeah. You kind of put lines and little splotches in your eye and just go, oh, well, those are trees. Even though we're not really painting in the individual leaves or even connecting them to anything. Pretty fun. Okay, so let's go ahead and put in some foreground in front of those trees before we go any farther. So I'm going to grab some of my yellow oxide and burnt sienna. Maybe a little bit of that unbleached titanium. I'm going to tap in a little bit more of that unbleached titanium. I want to keep it light. This area is fairly, yeah, there we go. I've switched to my Deerfoot Stippler here, but I don't know if I'm happy with that. Color is a little bit too dark, so I think I'm going to rub that off. Grab a little bit of white. I want to keep this area right up by my horizon line very light. So I'm going to put in some little leaf litter, but I don't want it to compete with that background. There we go. There we go. And just a little bit of lighter color, and really let me think. I might just do I think I'm just going to do side to side. This far away, we're not going to see as much of the individual leaves. We don't need to go into that much detail yet. So, sorry if you're following along. I'm changing it up here. I'm going to go over with this light white color. Just bring that down in and over some of these trees that are sort of in this area. Kind of like fog is rolling in over the top of them. Just a few of them. Okay, there we go. That's better. I was just getting a little too detailed for being that far away. And keep it really foggy back there. Okay.
You changed brushes on me again.
This is the number 6 bright again. Okay. I decided not to stipple back here, so don't stipple back there. Just do your brush and just add a little bit of that. Lighter color, added a little bit of this color right here and just kind of went over the edge of the trees and then added some of this burnt or unbleached titanium with a little bit of the yellow and burnt sienna right in there. And then I'm going to kind of use it a little bit darker version out a little bit to the sides and just kind of obscure where those trees start and stop. Using some of the sky color down in here to bleed down into the forest floor. Okay, there we go. Let's go and do another layer of trees now. I'm going to go back over and make a little bit of these, some of these a little bit farther down from the edge. They don't have to be right on that edge. Pull some of them down a little bit lower. Like that. Use my spray bottle, spray that down, and I have no color left, so I'm going to go ahead and mix that up again. Phthalo blue, a little bit of phthalo green, some burnt sienna, and a lot of burnt umber. So the two colors that are major, like mostly it's burnt umber and phthalo blue. Just a touch of green and just a touch of the burnt sienna in there. So I'm going to wipe most of that off my brush and we're just going to go in and grab a little bit of white. And I'm going to go one shade darker again. So just a little bit darker than what I did before. And you can kind of mix it on your palette here next to it and see. Once it starts to look a little bit darker than what's here, then you know that's the color you want to use. Okay, so that looks about right. Press my brush flat. Go right over the top. Go back in and just make sure that this bottom is, we want this bottom area to be flat right there. So just keep that in mind when you're doing this. Going right over the top, what we've already got. And since I did that branch a little bit thick, I'm going to go ahead and thicken up this hole all the way down. And we're just going to keep most of those in the upper half. So I'm not going to go any farther past the halfway mark with this size tree. These will be just a little bit bigger. Than our first layer.
So we got an interesting question.
Okay.
Why are you using blue for the trees instead of brown?
Because it's picking up. They're actually, if you look at the photograph, they're actually not brown at all. You're seeing they're actually kind of a blue black color, the ones that are farthest closest to us. So I'm looking at the if I could point to the picture. I can't. I don't have a print of it. But I'm looking at the sides of the tree that are just light as the closest ones to us, and that color there is a like a blue black. So I'm going to go a little bit more towards black and dark colors as I get down towards the bottom. But because this is our background color, I'm just using blue brown to right now to kind of neutralize it a little bit. It's probably a little bit more. I could probably go a little bit more on the brown side than I did.
But it looks like to me it's the effect of the fog, the background, and then the shadows.
Right, that's exactly what we're trying to go for.
You're not seeing the natural brown. You're seeing the dark colors.
Right. Yeah, that's it. They're the forest, the color coming through the trees is not going to be. It's not going to be the actual color of the bark because it's in shadow.
Right.
So in the shadow will make it look more blue generally.
Yeah, it's just like, at late at night or early in the morning.
The twilight color.
Right. Your trees, the leaves are green, but you don't see green. You see a dark black color or something.
Exactly.
It's just, that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I never did understand you can't see the forest for the trees. I don't even know what that means. So if you're in chat, please help me out. I finally figured out last year what it meant when they said you can't have your cake and eat it too. So, these are life mysteries that have to be solved.
You can't have your cake and eat it too? Is that a thing? Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It only took me like 50 years to figure it out. Well, at least I think I figured it out. I don't know if it's right, but...
What did you figure out that it was?
That, you can't be holding your cake and keep it if you're also eating it. You either have to eat it or you got to save it. So you can't have your cake and eat it too.
Oh, right. You can't have it to hold and save. Yeah.
Right.
And if you eat it.
Because then you'd be holding it in your belly.
Right.
And then that's where I stop. I don't go any further. It's a family show.
I never really thought about it.
Frank just told me in chat to leave the trees alone.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, leave the forest alone. So the puns are breaking out.
Oh, no. Oh, no. It's that time of night. This is definitely kind of a stylized version, if you haven't figured that out already. This is not a fully realistic version of this painting. We're just kind of going for some fun and trying to make it, like I said at the beginning, beginner friendly. Just trying to show you kind of how to create some of this, effect of the distance. And it's all about, having the kind of lighter colors in the background fading and then getting darker as we come forward with our trees. This one is really weird because it gets thick and then thin and then thick again. So I'm going to thicken it up all the way up. There we go. Alrighty. I think that looks good enough. Let's go and grab a little bit of green. And I'm going to go underneath some of our trees here. Well, let's grab some unbleached titanium. And this area back here has got some like greenery around the bottom of our trees. So I'm just going to kind of lightly tap in around the bottom bases of them. Kind of do this side to side sweeping. This side doesn't have as much of the greenery, but I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of it in. Okay. Clean out my brush. Grab some of that.
Okay, somebody asked in chat that if a man speaks in the forest and there's no one there to hear him, is he still wrong? The answer is yes.
Right, mix burnt sienna, a little bit of cadmium red light, some of my Indian yellow, and my what was that color over there? Unbleached Titanium. Thank you.
I still get a kick how you thank yourself.
When I remember things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, brain, for remembering that.
You are so polite to yourself. That's so nice.
Well, me and my brain's got to get along because I need it. Okay, so going side to side here. I probably should have done this first before I put my trees in. I'm realizing. This is the fun of doing this live because I always kind of realized there was probably easier ways of doing things too late. Halfway through. I love the comments when people are like, why did you do that? I'm like, if you have an easier way of doing it, please do. Like, I'm sure there are easier ways. I am just trying to paint this live and try to figure out how to do it the easiest way I can as I'm doing it for the first time. So it's not always a perfect system. All right, I'm going to grab some burnt sienna and burnt umber here. And I'm going to create some dark areas for our foreground and underneath some of these trees, and just kind of doing these side to side, keeping this area right in here pretty light. And but I do want to do some dark areas. This will give us some contrast when we put some of our light colors on top. Okay, so if you went over your trees a little bit, this is where you can kind of go back in and kind of clean them up. I'm going to grab some of this orange color and go side to side with it. And then let's grab some cadmium yellow light. I'll just bring it over here and do some of that in the middle here where we're getting a little bit more of that golden light. Just a little bit. And then let's go ahead and grab our, oh shoot, I dropped my sponge in the paint. Grab our sponge, find a clean spot. Grab some of that yellow oxide. And I'm going to use it in here and just put some of this color down. Don't go too far up with it. Just lay a little bit of that highlight color in there. Okay, and I'm going to use it in trees. So let's use a little bit of it in some areas up here. Try not to cover too much. I'm just going to try to find some open spots, and then I'm going to grab that dark color that was our color of our trees and go in here. There's a lot of dark in this area over here. Let's do a lot of this darker color, and this will automatically help kind of camouflage our trees.
Are they hiding?
They are.
Very sneaky trees.
Let's put a little bit of it down here, just a little bit.
Will there be any shrubbery?
That's what we're putting in right now on.
Okay, good.
Oops, I'm a little off there, sorry.
Well, we knew that, but your painting was doing okay.
Okay. Make it some more of that tree color there. I covered up some of my trees over here, so I'm going to just put that back in. I'm using my 3/8 inch angle brush now. There we go. And this is where I can go in and add a bunch more little branches if I want to. So this brush will let me kind of do even smaller little branches. So grab a little bit of white here.
Man, I missed a brush again. Oh, it's your angle brush.
Yeah, I said it.
I know, I was taking care of chat.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay. No, it's all right. Just realized I did that on the wrong side. Yeah. All right, so let's start and do our darkest tree now. So I'm gonna go and grab the brown, and I am gonna use black a little bit with that phthalo blue. So phthalo blue, burnt umber, and black. Just a tiny bit of black. That's our tree color for these ones in the front here. And before I do this, I do want to kind of clean up our area down here. I'm going to use the Stippler, Deerfoot Stippler, and stipple some Red Light now. Always doing these kind of horizontal lines with it.
I got a question about the fog.
Yes.
When you were choosing your colors for the fog, did you consider using a mixing white?
I did, actually. I did. I decided to do a different technique. I could go back in at this point. It would be a little bit more, well, I'll just show you. And I still don't. This is zinc white, so mixing white would just be zinc plus titanium white. So this will be even more transparent. But I can go in and let me use this brush here, I guess. As long as this background is dry, I can use some of that mixing white and just kind of go over areas of the trees. With it, we could use some of the, actually, because it's transparent, you'll still be able to see all the other colors through, but it'll just kind of give it that foggy look. Do that. And I can do some more in the middle here. You can leave that part out if you don't have mixing white. You could try it with white and just do like a white titanium white with lots of water, but it tends to be a little bit more, it tends to have more coverage than you might want. So I'm feeling like I could probably have put in some more trees back there, back, but I'm not going to. I'm going to go ahead and put in my trees right here. So there's a large one that's like right down here, just below the halfway mark. So this is our halfway mark, so I'm going just below that. Flat. I'm using my 3/8" angle brush. Here. Ooh, that's really dark, isn't it? Add a little bit more white to it as it goes up into the canopy. It gets a little bit foggier up there. So starting out pretty dark and then kind of switching to a little bit lighter version of it as I go down or as I go up. Okay. Another tree right here. One right here. There's one big one right here. Actually, let's do this one back here. Well, yeah, right here. And I'm letting my brush kind of wiggle so it creates these kind of knots in the tree as we go up. Use that edge of my brush, just going to create these straight lines. If you're having trouble, you can thin down your paint a little bit. That'll help. Let's add a little bit of white to this and do this back branch. It's a little bit lighter. Not that light, but a little bit lighter. There we go. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I don't want to repeat the same shape right next to each other like that. Let me see if I can get that off. Oh, that's going to look funky. Okay. Move it down here. I'm obviously kind of making up my own branches here, so you can do that. Just kind of, as long as you kind of understand sort of how trees grow, you can just make up your own trees, which is super fun. Just kind of do these Y shapes where they split. Like that. And I've got a really thick area right here, so I'm going to have to make my tree trunk thicker all the way down. Remember what we talked about? Grab a little bit of black there. Do this side a little bit darker. Okay. Let's do one more tree right down here, really big. And it's going to be hard because you're going to end up covering trees that you like, so you can try to kind of go around ones if you have favorites that are in the background there, but just know that you're going to probably end up covering some of your previous trees. I'm losing my voice.
So I wonder if anybody's named their trees, if they're their favorites.
I don't know, honey. That's a good question. So let's go and put another middle ground tree in here. So we kind of erase the one that was there before. Okay, and then I'm going to use this lighter color that I just mixed up. This is just white plus this background color. I'm just going to create some highlights along this one side of the tree. Kind of pulling from the outside in towards the middle a little bit. The light source seems to be coming from this side, So kind of our highlights are kind of all on this sides of our tree here. I'm just going to kind of put those in. And it's not a huge difference in color. It's pretty close to that tree trunk color. It's just a little bit lighter. Give it a little bit of a difference. Okay, then let's put in a bunch of our smaller branches. Crisscrossing. Some of them are coming in kind of horizontal from over here. There's kind of a branch that comes out. Runs right across there like that. Just going to thicken it up all the way to the tree trunk.
This is almost coming out like the Stickman's family portrait. It's like a family reunion here.
Stickman?
Yeah, I mean, where do you think he came from?
True that. Yeah.
Like a stork didn't bring him.
That. I never thought about it.
Jeez.
All right. One more right off the side here. Close to the edge. And let's do another dark one back here. Spread out the base just a little bit so it gives it kind of a foot to set on either side. Keeping it horizontal. That. Okay.
Okay, they've noticed that your hand glides and moves so smoothly, and they want to know, how do you keep your hand so still?
Probably practice, really. I mean, you can go in a little bit dark on a couple of these that are sort of in the near foreground or background. A little bit of a shadow color there. I really don't know how to answer that, huh? I mean, it's just practice,
Just
really.
practice.
I mean, yeah, there's not really any secret to it that I can think of that's...
Low caffeine.
Yeah, no caffeine. Kind of going off that backside here of these, just like we did. There we go. All right, so pretty good. Let's do a couple more branches and then we can start adding more of our leaves and we'll be done. Maybe add some of the highlighted color to this tree. We haven't done that yet. Doing sand that kind of this side to side like this will give it sort of that bark texture too. So. This one is actually crossing over in front, so we can make it a little bit darker so you can see it against that other tree. Okay. This one is still bugging me because it's a little bit thick still, so let's thicken up some of these branches here.
So as everybody's just waiting in anticipation, will you have a traceable for this?
I will have a traceable for this. We've got traceables available on Patreon. So they're $1 a month for unlimited downloads. We'll have this one and all the other videos that we've done since February 2017. Yeah,
Yep.
2017 on there.
And I've put the address up on the screen there, or there's a link down below. And also the Brush Guys link is down there, and Amazon store links. But I think if people I posted the picture of your portrait in your Facebook group, and I said, I think the people got to steal. Because a 6-hour tutorial
Yeah.
for the $5 and $10 level people.
Yeah.
Pretty incredible. You did a great job, honey.
Thank you. Thank you. I wish I'd had another hour or two to continue to work on it, but that's any large, any painting like that that's got a lot of detail is gonna be one that I'll, I always see things I want to change after the fact. But yeah, I was pretty happy with it on the whole. Just gonna add a couple more. Very faint. Like little trees happening there. Just give it even more depth. And then let's add some leaves. So I'm gonna grab my Cadmium Red Light and some burnt umber. I'm gonna go under here and just add some of that. I've got my stippler again. Add some of that. And you're going to tend to see that there's like darker leaf litter kind of around the base of your trees. I don't know if that's because they're damp or it's getting some shadows happening, but that's pretty common. So you can kind of use that and put some of this darker color kind of down close to the base of your trees to start with. And then I'm going to wipe most of that off. Grab some of the Indian yellow with some unbleached titanium. The unbleached titanium just kind of helps make it a little bit more opaque so it's easier to see. And let's just tap in some of that side to side here. kind of almost want to do this with my sponge. Let me try it with my sponge. Or maybe with my fan brush. Let's try that with the fan brush. That'll help it. Yeah, and I can get it into these little cracks here. I feel like it was getting like too round. Not as much of the lighter yellow down in there, so I'm just going to keep the brighter stuff right kind of in the middle here.
So what color did you mix with the Unbleached Titanium?
The Indian Yellow Hue.
Indian, okay.
Indian Yellow Hue, and then I'm going to go with some little Cadmium Red Light, just a little bit. I don't want it super bright, but there is a couple of spots where there's some bright orange kind of tucked in the middle, so I'm going to put some of that in there. Grab some of that red and grab the burnt sienna. Do some of that down here, especially in my shadow areas. Off to this side. The fan brush seems to be working pretty well. It's giving me kind of that good horizontal look that I'm going for. Plus it's not putting down too much paint at any one time. If I keep it horizontal like this, I can kind of get these layers upon layers. Just don't do too much at one time. I think that's what kind of makes it look a little bit more artificial, and I'm going to go right over the top of the tree trunks if I need to.
Okay.
I can always touch up the tree trunks later.
They would like to know what yellow they could use if they don't have the Indian Yellow Hue.
If you don't have Indian Yellow Hue, you can just add a little bit of cadmium yellow to your Cadmium Red Light. It'll kind of give you something sort of similar, maybe a little bit of the yellow oxide too. It's just a really bright yellow, orangey yellow. So I've got the cadmium yellow here with the mixed with the Cadmium Red Light. I'm just adding that. Okay, now I'm going to use this color in here, and I'm going to kind of add some of it in between my trees. And my trees have this kind of, back in here, they've got this kind of diagonal thing going on, so, or the horizontal thing going on with their branches, so I'm just going to keep that happening with the fan brush. Going side to side with this color.
So I totally wasn't paying attention, but I don't think you can actually mix and make an Indian Yellow Hue, right?
You can get something similar with cadmium yellow and Cadmium Red Light. You can't mix it exactly, but it'll be somewhat similar. So I'm going with Cadmium Red Light and cadmium yellow here. And I'm going to tap in. And if I want my leaves to be a little bit bigger, I'll just kind of drag them just a little bit or press down a little bit harder with this. And I'm going right over the top of all of what we've got going on here. Clean out my brush. Grab some burnt umber. some of that tree bark color, right? And we're going to do some leaves with that, some dark leaves out here in the dark canopy area.
This painting is right on time because it's supposed to get cool tomorrow.
Really? Oh,
yeah, it's
good.
supposed to be like down in the 50s
Nice.
tonight and tomorrow
Nice.
morning. So, yeah.
I like it. Definitely my favorite time of year. Coming on fall. All right, so let's grab some cadmium yellow now. So we're going to start kind of putting in some brighter yellows up in here. Keeping that side to side. And I'm kind of going over the top of the dark areas. Just, you know, I've already put in some color in there now. So I'm kind of going to highlight some of those areas that we've got. And I don't have to do all of it, but do you want to create kind of like these sort of horizontal clusters.
I'm zooming in so we can get a good look at those. You might need to pull it down a little bit.
Okay.
That looks pretty cool.
Yeah. It's starting to get there.
I know some friends of ours they live in in Colorado, and they've been posting some pictures
Yeah.
online of some just gorgeous colors, yellows and oranges. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Over here, I'm going to go a little bit darker. Let's go ahead and even grab a little bit of the green with the Indian yellow, or the yellow oxide over here. Do a little bit of that in this area. And let's go ahead and put a little bit of that green down here in the foreground. I kind of lost all my green that was down here, so let's put some of that back in here.
So I've noticed that while you were doing that you were, randomly moving the brush up and down and side to side.
Yes.
But I noticed that you weren't like rotating the brush in your fingers.
Right. Yeah, you want to keep it horizontal.
Okay.
Yeah. Using that phthalo green. A little bit of burnt umber. Some of that unbleached titanium. So anywhere you kind of get it too dark, you can kind of go back in and just tap over, soften it up. And I am going to clean up my trees because I've got a lot of other colors over the top of them. So my tree trunks need to be just touched up just a little bit here and there. Let me do that really quick. Phthalo blue, black, a little bit of phthalo green, out of burnt umber, so I'll put some of that back in.
I got another fog question.
Oh yeah, okay.
If they don't want it so white,
Yeah.
what would they do?
We'll just add some of your background, you know, that background blue to it. So.
And somebody asked, would you recommend this as a beginner painting?
It's a mid-level beginner, I think.
Mm-hmm. It's not a beginner.
No, I've got another one that's a little bit more simplified that's got the deer silhouette in it. Kind of intended this one to be a kind of a companion piece, but it's sort of turning out to be a little bit more complicated than I had intended. So.
Yeah, I would say that this would, if this was like your 5th or 6th painting,
right?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Definitely not like a 1st or 2nd.
No, yeah, definitely not a 1st or 2nd painting.
The Q-tip videos are perfect for that.
Yes.
The lavender, like you suggested last time, is spot on.
Yeah. And add a little bit of details in my trees here, and then anywhere that I've got too much of that background around it or over the top of it, I can kind of touch it up there. Add some like little dabs to my tree because there's some areas that I need. Okay, let's see. So now I'm going to go in here and let's use the liner. Thin down my paint a lot. So it needs to be like a milk consistency. And I'm going to go back over some of these areas that I have branches and just redefine them over the top of some of the greenery or the yellow clumps to create depth.
So we got an interesting question we haven't had before.
Okay.
So on your palette, when you're mixing the paints,
Mm-hmm.
is the paint that's underneath dry and you're just adding paint on top of it?
Yes. Yeah. The paint's underneath is dry.
Okay, so you're not getting that sticky, gloopy.
No,
paint.
no. All this black. This is all dry, right here. And if it wasn't dry, I'd find a spot that was to use, so that I wasn't trying to compete with, with that. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to get clean, good, colors if you were fighting with layers that weren't dry yet. Yeah, that is a good question. It's always ideal to find a clean spot, if you have it. But this late in the painting, there's nothing left, no places left that are clean. So
Still boggles my mind how you used to use a styrofoam plate.
I know.
We give you more space and you just use it all.
It's true. That is true. Alrighty. Just going through here and lines in my tree there. And I think I'm going to put a couple more smaller branches down, kind of coming down this way. I'm going to wiggle. Yeah, I think that's good enough. All right, so let's do a couple more spots on here with my fan brush and we'll be done. Burnt umber, cadmium yellow medium. Go ahead and add some of this underneath some of my yellow areas if needed. There's actually some that are coming over the top of this here. Grabbing some of that Indian yellow with the cadmium yellow medium. And really on this, you could go in and use like this brush here if you wanted to, or even like my angle brush. So let's use that and do some really detailed little leaves, just a few little. Grab some of the cadmium yellow light here. And just add a few very little dabs pointing straight down with the tip of my brush so that I'm getting tiny little dots. I'm kind of holding it at an angle, so it's down, but it's kind of angled this way. This is where I can kind of go in here and create little bit more detail. Let's use a little bit of this down in here, just a few little dabs of random color. Cadmium Red Medium burnt umber here. I want some darker. Let's get some burnt umber, just straight burnt umber. There we go. Gonna have that dark to get some contrast. Now, I don't want to go too dark too far up because all of this is supposed to be kind of misty. So we don't want it. Much farther than these foreground trees. And I'm going to use some of that Cadmium Red Light, Burnt Umber. And go in here and make sure that this is all sort of horizontal and through here. Just using the tip of my brush. Grab some white and some yellow. Use that. Okay. Pretty happy with that. Might mix some cadmium yellow medium and the yellow oxide here. And make kind of a neutral yellow. Add a little bit of that. If you look at your pictures, you're going to see lots of different colors happening. There's all these different layers upon layers of colors. And get some of this cadmium red light and burnt umber, mixed it with this, what's on my brush here. What are you laughing at?
I didn't put 3/8 in the caption for the angle brush, so people asked, and then they said thank you, and I said at least I spelt angle right, SPELT. Now there's a discussion on whether it's spelt or spelled.
Spelled.
Spelled?
Mm-hmm. Did you?
And then somebody tried to put spelt and it came out selt. So we had math class earlier in chat. Now it's English class.
Yeah, there's no spelt.
Spelt isn't a word?
No.
Are you sure?
Yes. Check it. I don't know. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, I'm going to trust you because you read words.
Well, I don't think I've ever used it, so.
Spelt is a wheat.
Okay.
So it's probably not that. There's a reason why I'm an engineer.
You're a farm boy.
I don't have to spell words. And spelt.
I love that you were saying you spelt it right and spelt wrong. Spelled wrong.
And people were like, oh, he's joking. And then no.
I thought you were joking too. That's why I didn't even think. And then you were like, yeah, they're talking about whether that was spelled wrong. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's not right.
So spelt is a word, but it's not the past tense of spell.
I think 90% of us probably knew that. Huh?
You didn't. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. It's going gonna say you didn't know that you were gonna learn that during an art lesson, did you? Thanks a lot.
All right, I'm going to quit before I end up with all yellow up there in the canopy. But this has been fun. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you try it, be sure to share it with me on my social media. All the links are down in the description. Ooh, some super chats, huh?
People have been
Fantastic.
waiting for that cowbell. There are
know
some
I
people
have
who
been.
are not happy that we don't do cowbells in the middle of the show anymore.
I'm sorry.
But I agree, it is a little distracting. So
Yes.
for the people in the future, you're welcome. All right, we had several super chats tonight.
Ooh, really?
Yeah. So first one started off with Nasa, and she says, "Love that you spend your time with us. Thank you." Then we have from Beth, and she says, "Thanks for everything you do. I love all of your paintings."
Nice.
Then from Lori, no special message, but I think she was looking into the future for knowing how to spell spelled. And then Jillian, a friend of ours, it says, "Love all your paintings and that you tell us that you have made a tactical error. You show us how to be human.
Aw.
Love to you both." Then Carol says, "Thanks, Angela and Mark, for spending a Tuesday night with us art peeps."
I love that art peeps.
And then we got Sandy. She says, "Thank you. I always learn so much. Enjoy the banter between you and Mark." And then we got Jess. And they say, "Each time I paint one of your paintings, I will send some money. I am so grateful that you do this."
Oh,
And that was a lot of super chat.
that was. Wow.
That was
Thank
2,
you guys.
4,
That was
6, 7.
so sweet.
That is incredible.
Amazing. Well, I'm so glad you enjoyed this one. This was really fun. I'm so happy to be doing some fall stuff. We're going to be doing a pumpkin this Saturday that I've been wanting to do for over a year. So I actually painted it last year and didn't really like it and found a really good image that we're going to be using on Saturday. So be painting our pumpkin with flowers. Looking forward to that. Hope you try this one too. And we'll be back next week with, I'm trying to think of what we're painting next week. Oh, the dolphin.
The
Yeah,
dolphin
we're doing
next
the dolphin
Tuesday.
next
Yep.
Tuesday. So that'll be fun.
Saturday, eat the pumpkin. Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
That's going to be awesome.
All right, guys. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time. Bye.